People love to bring up the history of the Eagles and their draft when talking about the first round. Well, if we're going to do that, we've got to look at their history. And their history says the Eagles are more likely to trade up in the first round than trade back. And that appears to be just what they're trying to do. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, Dingbat here. Hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you hang in there. So the Eagles apparently are looking to make a move up and have made calls to teams within the top 10 to try to get up, presumably for Jalen Carter. And yes, the Eagles usually don't take a running back in the first round. This is very true. But there is precedent of the Eagles trying to do it a few years ago. Now, before we get into it, if you're new to the channel and you like the content, make sure you hit that like button. More importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most censored, the most throttled, pause, Eagles content creator at all of the internet. And if you've been subscribed for a while, I just want to thank you for all the support you give to me. It truly, truly means a lot. It is draft week. It is going to be busy, and we are going to hear a lot of different things come out. We're going to hear the Eagles are trying to trade up. We're going to hear the Eagles are trying to trade back. We're going to hear the Eagles want a running back. They don't want a running back. They want this guy. They want that guy. They want this. They want that. Boom, 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 boom. We're going to hear all of it. The truth is, we have no idea what the Eagles are doing or what they're thinking. None of us do. Only Howie Roseman and those that know what that draft board looked like really know. But it's fun to cover, it's fun to think about, and we got to look at all possibilities. And the first possibility we have to look at, and I think, in my opinion, if I had to bet what the Eagles do at 10, my betting money would be not that they trade back, not that they take a running back at 10, that my bet would be that the Eagles trade up, that the Eagles look to move up in the first round and then get their man Jalen Carter. Because I think if the Eagles have a choice to get somebody, they want Jalen Carter. I think that Jalen Carter is the apple of their eye. They've got to look at it and say, if we can land Jalen Carter, one of the best players in this draft, an impact player at defensive tackle, to pair him up for the next 6, 7, 8 years with Jordan Davis, that's a hell of a foundational piece on defense. It just makes a lot of sense. The only way that they wouldn't draft Carter, I think, is if the red flags are so bad that they have to avoid it. That's just something we really don't know. It's hard to know those things, but it sounds like the Eagles are looking to move up. Here's the latest rumor. Eagles have reportedly made calls with the Lions, the Raiders, and the Falcons to gauge the price of trading up per Charlie Campbell. The calls are rumored to be a trade up for Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Now, like I said, this would make absolutely perfect sense to me. However, you could call the Lions, you could call the Raiders, you could call the Falcons, but will Jalen Carter make it past the Seattle Seahawks? That's the question, because it's seeming more and more like that Seattle spot is going to be where Jalen Carter goes. So, do the Eagles know that? Is this just a plan that if for some reason Seattle does not take Jalen Carter, they're going to move on it? That could be exactly what it is. The Eagles could be saying, listen, if Jalen Carter gets past the Seahawks, we've got to move up. We got to go up, call Detroit. We got to call the Raiders. We got to go up and get them. That could be their line of thinking. I don't think it would be for any other player, okay? I can't think of another player that you would trade up for. I think Will Anderson will be gone. Will Anderson's either going 2 or 3. If Houston is dead serious about not taking a quarterback at 2 and willing to take Will Anderson Jr., then Jalen Carter may go before 5. So it's just going to depend. But most likely, Jalen Carter, in my opinion, personally, I don't think he makes it past 5. And I can't think of another guy that the Eagles would be looking to trade up into the top 10 for other than Jalen Carter at that point. So they have to be looking at trying to get Jalen Carter if he gets past the Seattle Seahawks. Listen, I know that the Falcons are very, very interested, apparently, in Bijan Robinson. That is a possibility that the Falcons, at 8, are going to take Bijan Robinson. Do the Eagles want to jump the Atlanta Falcons to take him? That's a little hard for me to believe that they would do that, especially for a running back. But, I mean, if Jalen Carter's off the board, if Will Anderson's off the board, do what you got to do. That's how I see it. But most likely, this rumor is all centered around Jalen Carter. And I believe Jalen Carter is the apple of the Eagles' eye. I believe that's who they would love to land in the first round. And they're saying to themselves, we're going to have to go up and get him. He ain't going to make it to 10. Maybe a month and a half ago, right after Combine, it looked like the chance. Yeah, Jalen Carter might be there at 10. It's looking like he's going to go at 5. But if he gets past 5, they probably want to have a plan in place to go get him. That's basically my thoughts on why they're looking to trade up. And I'm totally good with it. I would be absolutely happy with Jalen Carter. Listen, Jalen Carter is my second overall player in this draft. So once Will Anderson Jr. is off the board for me, the next guy that I would draft, if I had a choice, would be Jalen Carter. After Jalen Carter would be Bijan Robinson. That's kind of how I personally would do it. Now, the funny thing with Bijan Robinson is that, there's a constant fight about, well, the Eagles will never draft a running back in the first round. They don't draft running backs in the first round. This is something that they never do. However, that's technically true. The Eagles haven't drafted running backs in the first round, but it wasn't because they didn't want to. Because when Christian McCaffrey was coming out, the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to draft him at 14. Now, what am I talking about, you ask? I'm talking about this. And Sports Radio WIP posted this, and it's interesting. They said, the Eagles were going to select Christian McCaffrey at number 14 overall in 2017. He went 8th overall because of the value he brought in the passing game per Albert Breer. And what Breer exactly said was this. This is what Breer said. Breer did a thing, and he was saying that he can't see the Eagles drafting a running back. However, after looking into it, there was precedence that the Eagles would have taken a running back in the first round. This is what Breer said. Over the weekend, I was told and later confirmed a story about the Eagles in 2017. The Eagles were prepared to take Christian McCaffrey with the 14th pick they got from the Vikings for Sam Bradford. And the ex-Stanford star if the ex-Stanford star had fallen to them. McCaffrey didn't in the end. Philadelphia wound up with Tennessee pass rusher Derek Barnett instead. Oh, God. What a disaster that was, in my opinion. The Eagles won the Super Bowl 9 months later. Barnett was just okay. He stinks. He had an okay rookie year. His best year was a rookie year. He stinks after that. And McCaffrey became and remains a big star in the pro. Breer goes on to say that a lot of that had to do with Christian McCaffrey's ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. And that's what the Eagles really, really liked about him. And that is totally 100% true. So when it comes to Bijan Robinson and could the Eagles actually draft 5, it's all going to come down to how they view Bijan Robinson. If they view Bijan Robinson as a weapon, as a guy, and that's how I view Bijan Robinson. I don't view him as a running back. I view him as a weapon. He's a guy that I believe you could put in a slot. I believe you could line him up as a receiver. I believe he can catch out of the backfield. That's what makes him dangerous, because he can do all that. Now, you're going to say Jamar Gibbs can do those things too. Jamar Gibbs is actually a better receiver than Bijan Robinson. He is. Except for Bijan Robinson, to me, can be a 3-down back every down. And he's 220 pounds. So Bijan Robinson, he may not be as good of a receiver as a Jamar Gibbs. However, I still think he's good enough receiver that the Eagles could really value him as the number 1 back. And if that's the case, the Eagles will take him. They will not hesitate. But it all really comes down to how they view him. Do they view him as a Christian McCaffrey type guy? That we just can't know. And we just can't know. And at the end of the day, we have no idea what Howie Roseman's going to do. Howie Roseman is the only guy who knows. We can just speculate and figure it out. I think the Eagles, Trading up makes a lot of sense to me. I think the Eagles would like to move up and make sure they get a star. I think the Eagles at 10 want to get a guy who they feel can be a game changer, a unique guy, a unique talent. I think Jalen Carter is the apple of their eye. Can they pull it off? And can they get him? I don't know if he gets past Seattle, but the Eagles are obviously, I need a drink here, all right? Eagles are obviously trying to move up to get him. I expect the Eagles to move up. If he gets past Seattle, I think the Eagles are going up. Pinky up when you drink, motherfuckers. But I think if I say this, if Jalen Carter gets past 5, Eagles are going up. If he's gone at 5, then we'll see what they do. I think Bijan Robinson at that point would come into play. So we'll find out. It's going to be very interesting. It's getting late, so I have to get out and go to work now. I'll try to be back later. I'll probably have another video later today. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's how we vision. We're all just living in it. You know, I think it's going to be interesting what Houston does, seriously, because if Houston takes Will Anderson Jr., then are the Cardinals going to look to move out of that position? You know, it's so fascinating how this draft could go. And I know this. I know Howie Roseman has something up his sleeve. I think he's got something up his sleeve, and it's going to be something that's going to blow us all away on Thursday night. That's why we will have our Draft 5 hats, our Matt Corral jerseys, and we will be ready to go. Denzel Washington out.